welcome to another Spooktober episode of Women of HERstory, a podcast dedicated to celebrating women who have made or are making their mark on our society. Sitting next to me, as always, is your favorite co-host, Ted Tedson.
Ooh, how's your Spooktober going?
It's going so good. It's almost over, which is so sad.
Yeah, I know this is one of your favorite times of the year.
It is.
Shouts out Scorpios.
Whoop, whoop. You know, all that good stuff. Oh my goodness. Now I'm on a whole Spooktober rant. What have you done to me, Ted Tedson?
Well, I'm excited, I'm ready, and I'm eager to listen. So, who do you have for me today?
Well, today's episode is a little different. Much like last week, it is a compilation of sorts. I'm going to be talking about 3 of the most haunted places in the United States that are either associated with the acts of a woman or a woman has a spooky, spooky tale of paranormal activity in the given place.
Okay, I can get on board with this.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of spooky places, but I'm interested in learning.
Well, I want to start off with something that Margie Kerr, a sociologist and the author of Scream, Chilling Adventures in the Science of Fear, said to the Washington Post. She said that feeling terror when we know we're safe can bring around a special kind of euphoria and confidence. She should just at me next time, because,
Yeah,
that's the vibe I like
directed.
to live in.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah, that definitely sounds like you. That sounds like something I wouldn't say or think.
Well, let's get spooky.
Ooh.
One of the most famous haunted places in New Orleans, Louisiana, is the LaLaurie Mansion. Madame Marie Delphine LaLaurie was a wealthy socialite who hosted ritzy soirees in her French Quarter mansion in the early 19th century. Her guests would eat the finest food and drink incredible champagne, completely unaware of the horrors that occurred just 2 stories above. When the fire department arrived to put out a kitchen fire in 1834, they made a gruesome discovery in the attic. They found, this gets kind of bad, guys. Just for a second, and then we move on to spook. They found the bodies of several mutilated enslaved people. When the public learned about the true nature of LaLaurie, a mob stormed the house, taking it apart piece by piece. Knowing she had been made, LaLaurie fled to France. After she left, a replica of the mansion was constructed on the same site, which that to me is just asking to be haunted.
Yeah, you're definitely inviting the bad vibes and the bad juju back.
You are asking for hauntings. Yeah. People to this day can hear phantom screams and phantom footsteps around the house. They even say that just standing near it, you can feel a negative energy. In 1894, a tenant living at the LaLaurie Mansion, it had been converted into apartments at the time. He was murdered in his room.
Oh.
The police assumed he was a robbery victim, even though nothing of value was taken. Things get a little weirder when they start to talk to his friend and neighbor. He said that his friend claimed that he was having problems with, quote, sprites in his house. Sprites are like little mischievous fairies.
Yeah.
And he also confided that there was a demon in the house that wouldn't rest until he met his end, which he did. Was this Madame LaLaurie, or did Madame LaLaurie do what she did because of a demon already attached to the property?
That's I can't even fathom to think if, which one might be better, if it's one or the other. I think
you're like,
both
are
scary.
Pretty terrible.
Yeah, man.
I have so much more about the LaLaurie.
Yeah.
In the mid-19th century, the mansion was actually converted into an all-girls school. It was initially one of just a few mixed schools in New Orleans, but the politics of the Reconstruction era nipped this in the bud pretty quickly, and LaLaurie Mansion at 1140 Royal Street was now officially an all-girls African-American primary school. Soon after its inauguration, the young pupils would approach their instructors sobbing with their sleeves rolled up, showing their arms to be scratched and bruised. When asked who did this to you, every time they responded with that woman. Was this the spirit of Madame Delphine LaLaurie, or was this the original demon striking again?
I don't want it to be a demon, but I definitely don't want it to be her.
Especially, like,
Dang.
you know, a big reason that people think it could have been her is because she was a wild racist, and this is now an African-American all-girls primary school.
Yeah.
And she's like, get out of my house.
I just need to say Kathy Bates did a real good job of playing that role in American Horror Story.
I just hated her.
That was,
I hated her with every single fiber of my being.
She did a good job of making us hate her because she knocked it out the park.
Just
evil, malicious.
Just evil.
Very interesting.
The residence is currently privately owned and doesn't offer tours, but there are plenty of haunted tours that visit the exterior. Maybe you'll experience something paranormal like numerous tour guides have. One who, I didn't write this down, but it kind of stuck with me. One was giving a tour, like a walking ghost tour, and they stopped outside of the mansion, and she felt what she thought was someone tug on her purse. The guide did. Mm-hmm. And then, so she turned around, no one's there. And then it happens again, but like even harder. And she went out of character and then turned to yell at who she thought was someone trying to pickpocket her during a tour, which I guess happens. And she turns around and it starts to yell and no one's there. She turns back around and tells her, the people on the tour what she thought was happening, and they all apparently were just like, okay, can we move on now? Can we leave? Can we please walk away? Because they were so freaked out.
I don't even think I would have been in the group. I would have been Rand. I would have ran away so fast. So far away, you know, like a flock of seagulls. I run so far.
It's on our road trip list.
Great.
I have an ongoing list of places and people.
Good.
It's good. It's
great.
fine.
I'm excited to go to all these places.
Well, let's head out to sea, shall we?
Ahoy!
Ahoy! The RMS Queen Mary, now permanently docked in Long Beach, California, is an ocean liner that sailed the Atlantic from 1926 to 1967.
And it's haunted.
The first 3 years, Queen Mary was a luxurious ocean liner that many dignitaries and Hollywood celebrities vacationed on. This included General Dwight Eisenhower, Elizabeth Taylor, and the fabulous Audrey Hepburn. The luxury didn't last long, as in 1939 it was stripped of its beautiful amenities and became the Grey Ghost, a World War II troop ship. At the conclusion of the war, it was restored to its former glory and it sailed the ocean for 2 more decades. On Halloween in 1967, it departed on its last cruise and eventually docked in Long Beach, California, where it now resides, like I said. It is now a floating hotel and restaurant and is haunted by various spirits thought to be trapped aboard.
A haunted floating hotel restaurant.
Yes.
I wonder what happens
Take me there.
When there's like inclement weather. Do they just like hold it down even more in case?
Well, the way
if
it's
like
docked,
kind of stationary,
it's like
built into
rocks.
the water.
Yeah, it's like basically on land
so
now,
it's not just
but
a boat.
It's kind of in water.
So it's not just a boat people can stay on.
No, it is. You can. It is a boat because it's in the water, but the way I'll show you pictures.
Yes, yeah. Please.
I'll show you pictures.
Yes, thank you.
So that you can see where we're gonna be vacationing.
I'm just trying to imagine it in my head to see where I can jump off from the water if it's safe. Trying to gauge.
Well,
for the future.
Let's talk about a handful of rooms that are the most haunted on Queen Mary. In stateroom B340, third-class passenger Walter J. Adamson died in his room of unknown causes in 1948. Fast forward almost 20 years, and in 1966, a woman staying in the room was woken up when her covers were pulled off the bed.
Ugh.
She opened her eyes, and she saw a man standing at the foot of her bed, staring.
And out the window I go.
Terrified, she screamed, and she went to ring for a steward, and the man vanished right before her eyes. Those who stay in the room report hearing someone knocking on the door in the middle of the night and the bathroom lights mysteriously turning on.
I like how you said those who stay in the room. You don't get the statistics or the information on those who don't because they're gone.
Maids complain that they have found the bathroom water running when no one has stayed in the room for days. One even reported that the bed covers were pulled off right after she put them on. The room was closed to guests for years, but now it is back open for booking.
Oh, boy. Did you...
What would you do if I said, I booked us a night?
I would panic immediately.
Well, I didn't, but it's on the list, too.
Well, I'll breathe easy.
The Mauritania Room is another with high levels of paranormal activity. In 1989, 2 women were sent to clean the lounge for a VIP reception. When they entered the room, they found a passenger sitting on a chair in the middle of the dance floor, and she didn't utter a word. A third woman arrived to help with the cleaning, and she remarked that the passenger was staring and asked her to move. She, of course, didn't respond and didn't move. When they went to call for security, the passenger faded away right in front of their eyes.
Oh, Christ. Oh my gosh.
I'm getting flashbacks of, spoiler, X-Files, that episode where they're on the ghost ship.
Oh,
the
yeah.
alternate, the parallel universe ship.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's what I'm dreaming about. This is what I want to happen when we're on the
vibes.
ship. Well, let's tack on another creepy room. The Mayfair Room. Once the ship's beauty salon, it is now part of the offices for the hotel. In 2001, a staff member came to work early, around 5:30 a.m., and had a gut feeling that something was just off. She ignored the discomfort and went on to do some work and sat down at her desk, feeling unusually cold. Just a few moments later, she felt someone brush up against the back of her chair when no one else was there. Almost immediately following that, she saw a transparent figure in white walk across the room and pass through the closed door.
And out the window I go.
She, too, grabbed her keys, left the room, and waited until her coworkers arrived.
Nah, I don't understand this waiting around after you see
No, she left. She left. She said, I'm out, and she waited, out in her car for everyone else to show up.
Out in her car.
You would just go home?
I would have gone home. I don't understand. If I saw a ghost in the perimeter, I'm not going to hang nearby and be like, I'm going to wait for everyone so I could tell them.
No,
I could tell them
I
later on.
think she was scared.
I could be scared from my house. Why am I going to be scared close to the place where I saw a thing that made me scared? Anyway.
The last one I'm going to talk about aboard the Queen Mary is the first-class swimming pool. It was the epitome of luxury, illuminated fountains, mother-of-pearl ceiling, and elaborate mosaic tiles. Now, it isn't in use currently because of California code issues, but that doesn't mean it's not a hotbed for the paranormal. People have seen a number of ghosts there. A young woman in a tennis skirt walking downstairs and then disappearing behind a pillar. Another woman in an old wedding dress next to the pool with a little boy in a suit. And occasionally, a cloud of steam appears with a little girl in a blue and white dress that disappears almost as quickly as she appears. That last one freaks me out, but I also I want to think I would be that kind of ghost. That's like steam, and then I come in.
I don't enjoy the imagery for any of this. I don't enjoy the consistency for the ghost. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like this one ghost just has flair all of a sudden. That's
the kind of ghost I want to be. I send the smoke bomb first, then I come out, and then I do a little creepy something. I just look at you.
I don't even know. You're giving me like Cats vibes. Yeah, I don't even know.
Like Cats the musical vibes?
Yeah, I don't know. I just can't see. I just couldn't visually see that with like the last one with the steam.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like a
creepy.
Whole scene.
So
but
creepy.
No, absolutely creepy.
I think the sad one is the woman in the wedding dress with the little boy in a suit.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, hard. Very disheartening.
That one makes me sad. Are you ready for our last spooky haunted place? Lizzie Borden took an axe, gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. We all know the nursery rhyme, but did you know that the house in which the infamous murders occurred is now the Lizzie Borden Bed and Breakfast in Fall River, Massachusetts?
Yes, I did know that. I'm pretty sure that you've told me about that in some capacity.
I have. Let me give you a little background about the house. The house was erected in 1845, and it was initially built for 2 families, but when Andrew Borden purchased it, he turned it into a single-family home. He bought the house because it was near the bank where he worked and other businesses that he owned. On August 4th, 1892, Andrew and Abby Borden, Lizzie's stepmother, were discovered bludgeoned to death. The prime suspect was Andrew's youngest daughter, Lizzie. The Borden case was one of America's first to be covered in the media spotlight, and accusations ran wild. After 9 months, Lizzie was acquitted due to lack of evidence, and no one was ever charged for the murders. The home has been converted into a museum and bed and breakfast, like I said, and you can sleep in any of the haunted rooms, and Abby Borden's room is apparently the most requested. There are plenty of stories of spirits residing in the home, from Mr. Borden attacking those who try to steal spare change and fire alarms being set off in the middle of the night. The spirits are restless, but polite for the most part. They just want to make themselves known to those who are staying in the house. Now, I know this isn't a true crime podcast, but I have to let it be known that I think the police botched the investigation and allowed the media to run wild with accusations. I'm about to go on a whole rant about this, and then we'll talk more spook.
Sure.
So I think that a man named William, who claimed to be Andrew's illegitimate son, is the one who did it. He had paid the family a visit shortly before the murders of Andrew and Abby, demanding to be recognized as an heir. I believe he did it with the maid, Maggie, who told the police she was upstairs resting during the violent and no doubt loud murders. This isn't that large of a house.
I know we've heard a couple theories, and I think that one sounds like the one that makes the most sense based on stories.
William even penned a strange letter basically confessing to the crimes, and the police never followed up on it. Also, Andrew Borden was a terrible person, and her stepmother wasn't much better, and that would explain why she was unemotional when questioned by the police following her discovery of the bodies. Also, there was no blood on her dress, so...
Spooky.
So spooky. So I think all of the hauntings that are in that house, her sister ended up staying there for a very long time after she died in the town. Lizzie didn't.
Yeah, it is interesting. I will agree with that.
The spirits haunting the home don't have the closure that they need to move on.
Well, they will not get it from me, because I will be afraid.
You'll just feed their ghosty egos.
Yeah,
you won't help them.
No. No, but when like little small things are happening that shouldn't happen, I feel like I can't resort to logic. Like the thing, like the unexplainable. If that's just like happening before my eyes, I'm not gonna be like, well, maybe it's because it's full of sorrow. Like, I'm not going to get to that thought process.
Oh, you don't get there.
I'm going to be like, where's the door?
You just skip right away. See, I want to stick around. I want to talk to ghosties. Say like, hey, listen.
You definitely let me know how that conversation goes. I'll be outside in a car. Apparently, that's where people hang out when they go see ghosts. Outside in a car.
Oh no! Well, that's because the ghost doesn't haunt your car unless it's like
a ghost that died in the car and is like, no, I'm just residing here.
Oh, one of the hitchhikers. Creepy hitchhikers. We talked about the hitchhikers.
Oh yes.
the vanishing hitchhiker legend.
Oh, goodness.
Bringing it back for you. So, oh my God, what if you get haunted at the Borden bed and breakfast? So you go run and you sit in your car, and then there's a vanishing hitchhiker on the side of the road who enters your car.
I just think you weren't meant to see the end of the day.
And then,
this is such
and
a
then
tangent.
What if you come across the slit-mouthed woman, the ear-to-ear lady, and you tell her she's beautiful, so then you go home and she follows you home and kills you there.
Then you have to know you're crazy and that you've gone through something like traumatizing. You're not crazy, but like that's definitely not like that sounds like a video game that you mentioned. That doesn't sound like real life. Even like it would have to be one of those hauntings.
No.
All three.
Yeah.
You would have to be the most unluckiest person,
or
and
the
you
most
probably
spiritual.
wouldn't even have gotten that far.
The most open. Yeah. You got all your chakras open. You know, they're just taking up room in your chakras. I know that's not how that stuff works.
I was going to say chakras and spook don't seem to.
They do though. That's you opening your inner eye. Anyway.
The longest tangent in my life about the most impossible thing ever.
No, it's fine. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna. And
You're
then
the
I'll
only
bring a
person,
Ouija board.
You're the only person that's willing the worst things into existence.
That's not worst. The only one that's bad is the slip-mouth woman. I take that one back. We'll
you're
get
trying
the
to
Ouija
will
board
these
out.
things that have like the most unlike that you have the least amount of control over.
I know.
That's
Which is the opposite of who I am as a person.
That's insane.
I think that's
and
why I
how
love
anyone
it.
should be. I'm like so bothered by that.
I think the reason I like it so much, I am a control freak. Shocking, right? And I think the reason I like all of this is because it's so far out of your control. You can't, there's no way to understand it. There's no way to control it. And I like that.
Damn, I'm glad you feel that comfortable all the time and want to lose control sometimes. Because I don't feel comfortable all the time and want to be like, hey, why don't I just lose it a little bit? Like...
Yeah.
I don't even understand that thought process. I'm like, why don't I just go a little bit crazy? I'm like, I'm already crazy. I don't need to add on to my life.
Oh,
man,
oh my gosh.
What a thought process.
We're so different.
I don't even know. Anyway.
Well, I think that about wraps it up. Thank you, HERstorians, for tuning in again. If you stuck around through that whole thing, kudos to you.
We appreciate you. Thanks for being fans.
Come back this Friday for an interview with up-and-coming recording artist Annalise Vega. In this interview, she talks about her writing process, upcoming projects, and so much more. Follow us on the social media, Twitter,
The HERstory Pod,
Instagram,
Women of HERstory Podcast,
and visit our website at
ofherstory.com.
Until this Friday, be safe, stay healthy, and show the world what you're made of. Happy Halloween!
Who? Wear a mask. Spooky one.
A spooky one.